Olivia, when exactly are you leaving? I asked as I sipped my coffee, trying to sound casual. Tomorrow morning, she said, glancing at me quickly before turning back to her suitcase. I frowned. 3 days? That's a long time for a business trip, isn't it? She paused, pulling out a red dress from the closet. My stomach twisted. That's not exactly office wear, is it? She laughed lightly, avoiding my gaze. It's for a dinner event with clients. You worry too much, Ethan. I just want to make sure you're okay, I said. I tried to keep my voice calm, but something in me tensed. I will be, she replied, snapping her phone shut as I tried to peek at it. I've got it all under control. I forced a smile, but my hands itched to hold hers. You've been avoiding eye contact a lot lately, I said softly. Is everything fine at work? She shrugged and zipped the suitcase. Everything's fine. Honestly, Ethan, I don't know why you keep questioning me. Later that evening, I met Ryan at the pub. He noticed my distracted mood immediately. You're tense, mate. Spill it, he said, raising an eyebrow. I don't know, I admitted. Olivia's trip, something feels off. Ryan laughed. Mate, you always overthink. She's just going on a work trip. Don't make it a big deal. I know, I said, taking a sip of my beer. It's just she packed a red dress, not a suit or office clothes. And she keeps hiding her phone. Ryan frowned. A red dress, huh? That's a bit unusual, yeah. Exactly. I leaned forward. She's acting weird. Whispering on the balcony tonight. I think she said, he won't find out. Ryan froze. Wait, what? I don't know who she was talking to, I admitted, feeling a cold knot in my chest. I just overheard it. I don't want to accuse her, but it didn't sound like she was talking to me. Ryan shook his head. Mate, don't freak out yet. Maybe it's just some work thing. But, yeah, keep an eye out. Carefully. I nodded, trying to shake off the unease, but my mind refused. Later that night, I returned home quietly. The house was silent, except for the balcony door sliding open. I knew you'd be back, I whispered as I stepped toward the balcony. Ethan, what are you doing up? Olivia said, turning sharply, her cheeks slightly pink. Just couldn't sleep, I said, heart hammering. I heard you talking out here. Her smile was calm, almost too calm. I was just thinking out loud. You worry too much, darling. I glanced at her phone, still glowing softly on the table. Thinking out loud? I thought I heard you say something about him not finding out. She laughed, covering her mouth. You're imagining things, Ethan. You really need to stop overthinking. Am I? I asked, voice trembling slightly, because it sounded pretty clear to me. Ethan, she said softly, stepping closer. I promise it's nothing. You're being paranoid. I forced a nod, my throat tight. Okay. I trust you. I meant the words on the surface. Inside, something hardened. I watched her pack her bag again, folding the red dress neatly. Every fold, every glance at her phone, every whispered laugh on the balcony, it stayed in my mind. By midnight, I was at my laptop, searching flights quietly. My hands shook, but I booked a ticket to follow her. Not to confront her yet. Not to beg or yell. I needed answers. I needed to see everything myself. I leaned back in my chair, staring at the screen with the confirmation number glowing in white. My heart raced, a mix of fear and determination. Ryan's words echoed in my head. Keep an eye out. Carefully. I realized this wasn't just about suspicion anymore. It was about me taking control, about not letting my life be dictated by uncertainty. Olivia thought she could go unnoticed. She thought I'd stay blind, trusting blindly. But I wouldn't. Not anymore. I closed my laptop and looked out the balcony at the city lights. Quietly, I whispered to myself, I'll follow you. I'll see everything. And then, we'll see who really has the control. I didn't sleep that night, but I felt alive in a way I hadn't before. The trip wasn't just hers anymore. It was the beginning of a reckoning I hadn't even dared to imagine until now. I stepped out of the taxi, my hands shaking despite telling myself to stay calm. Manchester felt colder than London, or maybe it was just me. I checked into the hotel quietly, giving my name to the receptionist without looking at her. My mind was spinning. Mr. Clark, your room is ready, the clerk said. I nodded, barely acknowledging her. I needed to find a spot where I could see the lobby without being noticed. I slouched into a corner by the lounge chairs. My chest tightened, every time the automatic doors opened. And then I saw her. Olivia. She walked in, hair perfectly curled, that red dress hugging her figure. My stomach dropped before I even processed who was next to her. Daniel Whitmore. His hand was on her lower back. They laughed too comfortably. My throat went dry. I could barely breathe. Daniel, I swear, you're impossible, Olivia said, laughing as he whispered something into her ear. I'll just make life more fun, he replied smoothly, grinning. I clenched my fists under my jacket. Impossible? She's laughing like she's happy. I muttered to myself. Like she's enjoying this. I followed them cautiously as they walked toward the elevators. Keep your distance, I whispered to myself, trying to steady my breath. They checked in. One room. One room. The words repeated in my mind like a drumbeat. My world went silent. I can't wait for 3 days without him, Olivia whispered as Daniel smiled at her. Finally, I froze. My throat burned. My hand shook. I wanted to storm across the lobby, grab her, yell at her. But I didn't. I couldn't. Ethan, are you okay? I muttered aloud, scaring myself. No, it hurt me. I reached into my pocket and pulled out my phone, hitting record. Every word, every laugh, every whispered promise was mine to keep now. Later, I approached the front desk, pretending to inquire about my own room. Everything all right, sir? Asked a woman with glasses and a calm expression. She noticed my pale face. Yes, just checking something, I said. My voice shook slightly. I'm Martha, she said, offering a polite smile. I couldn't help noticing you seem a little off. I hesitated. It's nothing. Just tired. She nodded slowly, leaning closer. I don't mean to pry, but the couple who just checked in, they requested privacy. They don't like disturbances. I stiffened. Privacy? Yes, she whispered. I noticed you watching. Don't worry, they don't like visitors or unexpected interruptions. I can't tell you more, but, well, just know they value their space. I swallowed hard. Thanks. Her knowing look made my chest tighten even more. I walked back to my room, closing the door behind me quietly. I sat on the edge of the bed, staring at the wall. The red dress, the laughter, the whispered words, everything replayed endlessly in my mind. I didn't cry. I couldn't. Not yet. I felt something colder than sadness growing inside me. My love, my trust, it was turning into something sharper. Something I wasn't sure I fully understood yet. What are you planning, Ethan? I whispered to myself, pacing. You're not confronting her. Not yet. You're waiting, watching. I picked up the phone again, checking my recording. The file was there, every word, every sound, every laugh. It felt like proof of a truth I didn't want to know, but needed to see. I remembered Ryan's warning from the night before. Carefully. I realized now that he had no idea how careful this needed to be. I flopped back onto the bed, staring at the ceiling. I have to understand it all, I whispered. I need to know why. Why her? Why now? I imagined walking into the room, slamming the door, yelling at them both. But I stopped myself. No, I said aloud. Not yet. I won't ruin it for myself. I need to see it. I need to feel it, every word, every laugh, every moment. My mind circled back to her whisper. 3 days without him, finally. I imagined the pride in her voice, the ease, the joy. And a strange, hollow sensation replaced the warmth I used to feel for her. I sat in the darkness of the room, silent, save for the low hum of the city outside. I wasn't plotting yet. I wasn't angry in the loud, explosive way. I was empty, cold, but watching, always watching. I won't confront her yet, I whispered again. Not until I understand everything. Not until she feels the weight of the truth, the way it hurts me. Hours passed. I didn't move from the bed. The phone sat beside me, recording everything I might need later. My hands rested on my knees, tense, ready. For the first time, I realized that this trip wasn't hers anymore. Not really. I had followed her, yes, but I hadn't come to beg. I had come to see, to understand, to hold the truth in my hands before she could ever lie to me again. I stared at the ceiling until sleep finally crept in. My heart wasn't light. It wasn't peaceful, but it was ready for whatever came next. I was leaning against the wall outside the hotel hallway, trying to stay quiet, trying to convince myself I shouldn't listen. but curiosity won. I'm tired of Ethan and his boring life, Olivia said, her voice sharper than I expected. Then leave it behind, Daniel replied smoothly. I can get you that promotion, Olivia. And the apartment. Everything you've ever wanted. I froze. My chest felt like it had been pierced. Apartment? Promotion? She's leaving me, I whispered to myself, barely breathing. I want more than this, Olivia snapped. I've been stuck for years. Ethan doesn't even notice me sometimes. Then trust me, Daniel said, leaning closer. I'll give you what he can't. You'll have everything you deserve. My hand shook, my phone pressing against my leg. I hit record without thinking. Every word, every promise, every laugh of hers that once meant love now felt like a dagger twisting in me. Daniel, you make it sound so easy, Olivia whispered, almost breathless. I don't know if I can do this. It's wrong. Wrong, he said, almost laughing. Wrong would be staying with him, pretending he's enough for you. You deserve better. You deserve me. I sank against the wall, barely able to breathe. Betrayal had a taste, cold and metallic, and I felt it coat my tongue. I thought of Charlotte, my sister, my rock. I pulled out my phone, staring at her number. I almost dialed. Almost. Charlotte. I muttered to myself, my thumb hovering. Do I tell her? Do I make her see the truth? I stopped. Shame burned through me. This wasn't just betrayal. It was humiliation. I didn't want her to see me like this. Helpless. Broken. I leaned back, tried to replay memories in my head. Our wedding. Her laughter as she danced. The way she whispered promises in the dark. Every one of them felt fake now. I wanted to scream, to rip the world apart, but I stayed silent. You're going to regret this, Daniel, Olivia said quietly. I don't want to hurt Ethan. You already have, he said softly. And soon, you'll have everything you want. Trust me. My fingers tightened around the phone. I wanted to storm in. I wanted to scream at her, grab her, make her feel the way I felt. But I didn't. I couldn't. I pressed record again and whispered to myself, I'll let you say it all. Every word, every betrayal. It'll stay here, and one day it will matter. Hours passed. I stayed hidden. I listened as they whispered plans, laughs, and promises that weren't mine. The next morning, I stepped into the elevator at the exact same time as them. My stomach twisted. Olivia held Daniel's hand. Her smile was brighter than it had ever been with me. Brighter. Happier. I swallowed hard. Good morning, I muttered under my breath. My voice felt foreign, detached. She looked at me for a second. Morning, Ethan. Then back to him, laughing, smiling, completely unbothered. Something inside me shifted. I stopped thinking like her husband. I stopped imagining the life we had together. I started seeing her as someone I no longer knew, someone I didn't recognize. You're smiling like a stranger, I whispered to myself. Because that's exactly what you are to me now. I walked past them, feeling my shoulders straighten. No shaking hands. No desperate plea. Just a cold, measured calm. I won't beg. I won't yell. I won't even stop her, I muttered. She has to do this. She has to destroy herself on her own. I won't be part of her lies anymore. I pressed my phone to my ear. I hadn't called Charlotte, but I would. One day I'd talk. Not now. Not like this. Olivia laughed again, and it felt like a punch in the gut. I turned the other way, letting them disappear down the hallway. I didn't follow. Not yet. I needed a plan. I needed to understand. I needed everything. Silent revenge. I whispered. That's the only way. Quiet. Careful. Perfect. I replayed every word I had recorded in my mind. Each sentence. Each whisper. Each betrayal. It wasn't just proof. It was fuel. Fuel for something I didn't fully understand yet, but something I knew I needed. I'll let her live her lie, I said softly. I'll let her feel safe, think she's winning, and then I'll show her the truth. Every bit of it. And when she finally realizes, I won't be there to catch her. The elevator doors closed behind them, leaving me standing alone. The hallway felt colder than ever. I didn't feel anger, not yet. I didn't feel grief. I felt determination. Ethan, I whispered to the empty hall, you're not him anymore. You're not the husband who trusts blindly. You're something else. Someone stronger. Someone smarter. I walked back to my room, each step heavier and lighter at the same time. Heavy with betrayal, light with the knowledge that now the game had changed. For the first time, I wasn't just following. I was watching, planning, waiting, and I knew one thing for certain. I would not be the one broken. I returned home late, my bag heavier than usual. The streets were quiet, and the city lights reflected off the wet pavement. I didn't call Olivia. I didn't tell anyone where I'd been. I just wanted to be home before she arrived. The door opened, and there she was, smiling, tired, hair slightly messy from travel, arms open. "Ethan," she said, dropping her bag. "I missed you so much." I almost laughed. "You did," I said, keeping my voice neutral. I stepped forward, letting her hug me. Her perfume, her warmth, the familiarity, it felt like a lie. Trip was exhausting, she murmured against my chest. "I can imagine," I said, squeezing her back lightly. Not too tight, not enough to show anything. She pulled back and smiled at me. "I don't know how you stayed at home, working the whole time. I'd be restless." "Someone had to pay the bills," I said, shrugging. "But it's good to have you back." Her phone buzzed, and she glanced at it, smiling faintly. "Work never stops, does it?" I nodded, pretending not to notice. Inside, I was already calculating, already replaying everything I had recorded. Later, I sat at my laptop. Shared bank statements, hotel bookings, gift receipts, everything I needed to confirm what I had already suspected. Money missing. Reservations made. Hotels booked. Everything lined up like a puzzle I didn't want to complete, but had to. When Ryan called, I picked up immediately. "Ethan, you sound off. What's going on?" he asked. "Ryan, it's complicated," I said, my voice low. "Olivia, I think it's not what it seems." "What do you mean? Did she cheat?" His voice rose slightly. I exhaled slowly. "Yes, partially. I don't have all the details yet, but she's not honest. Not with me. And not for the first time. You've got to confront them. Right now. I'll come with you." Ryan shouted. "No," I said firmly. "I don't want chaos. I want karma. I want her to see what she's doing and feel it herself." "Ethan, are you serious? You're letting this go?" "I'm not letting it go. I'm watching. Quietly. Carefully." "You don't understand," I said. "I need her to destroy herself without me interfering." There was a pause on the line. "You're different," he said finally. "I don't even know who you are anymore." "I'm the same," I said softly. "But I'm not the husband she thinks I am. Not yet." The days passed, and Olivia grew colder. Nights stretched long. She stayed up late, texting constantly, leaving me alone in bed while pretending everything was normal. "Ethan, did you see this?" she'd ask, holding her phone up, eyes bright but distant. I'd answer, nodding, my voice neutral. Inside, I was noting every detail, every lie, every trace of distance between us. One night, she leaned back, voice soft, almost casual. "Maybe we should take a break." I looked at her carefully, studying the tired lines around her eyes, the faint stress in her posture. I nodded calmly. "If you think that's best," I said. Her eyes flicked up, searching mine. You don't seem upset." I smiled faintly. "Upset? I don't know. I'm tired like you." She shrugged, tapping her phone. "I guess that's fair. 3 days away does that to you." I didn't argue. I didn't beg. I didn't cry. Inside, I was already preparing. Preparing for the end. Preparing for the moment when her choices caught up to her. "Everything she's done, it's her own doing," I whispered to myself. "I'm not pushing her. I'm letting her walk the path she's chosen. Step by step, it's all her own mistakes." I spent hours going through bank statements again. Gifts sent. Expenses unexplained. Hotel bookings lined up with her stories. My mind cataloged it all, making mental notes, forming patterns. Ryan called again, concerned. "Ethan, are you sure you're handling this right? You can't just watch someone destroy you yourself." "I'm not destroying myself," I said calmly. "I'm waiting. Patient. Smart. Careful. She's already halfway gone. Might as well let her finish." There was silence on the line. Then, finally, he said, "You're cold. I can't believe this." "Not cold," I said softly. "Calculated. Watching. Learning. Waiting. That's different." That night, I lay in bed, staring at the ceiling, listening to her soft breathing. She was here, yet so far away. I wasn't angry anymore. Anger was pointless. Fear was pointless. Only patience mattered. Soon, I whispered under my breath. Soon, the truth will come. And when it does, she'll have no one to blame but herself. I closed my eyes, feeling the first seeds of something new. Not hate, not heartbreak, but resolve. My love had turned into something sharper, colder, but effective. I wasn't the man she thought she married anymore. And I knew that by the time she realized it, it would be too late. I picked up my phone and dialed the number I'd scribbled on a piece of paper. Henry Lawson, a lawyer, someone who could make sense of the chaos. Mr. Clark, how can I help you? A calm male voice answered. I need advice, quietly, I said, keeping my voice low. I think my marriage is in trouble. What do you mean, trouble? I suspect my wife is unfaithful, I said, the words tasting like ash in my mouth. I need to gather proof before I decide what to do next. Smart, Henry said. Do not confront her. Document everything. Texts, emails, trips, receipts. Everything counts. Once you have evidence, you'll have options. Don't rush. Move carefully. I hung up and exhaled. This was no longer about hurt feelings. It was about power. The next day, I followed Olivia again. I told myself I was just gathering facts. She met Daniel at a cafe near the city center. They laughed, whispered, shared coffee, everything that once belonged to me now a performance for someone else. But then something shocking surfaced. Daniel wasn't single. His wife, Victoria Whitmore. She had no idea. I froze outside the cafe. Married? All this time, I whispered, heart pounding. Moral lines blurred before my eyes. Do I destroy them both or walk away? I watched as Olivia laughed, dangling a strand of hair over her shoulder. My chest tightened. She has no idea about him, I said. And I can't just ignore that. But can I use it? I didn't decide immediately. I stayed hidden, observing. Then I noticed a shift in Olivia. She became distant at home. Cold. Sharp. You really don't try hard enough, Ethan, she said one evening. I mean, look at Daniel. Ambitious. He's everything you're not. Her words cut deep, but I stayed calm. I didn't react. Not outwardly. Is that how you see me? I asked softly, voice steady. Ambition isn't the only measure of a person, you know. You wouldn't understand, she said, rolling her eyes. You're safe. Predictable. Boring. I need more. I nodded, as if her criticisms were simply facts. Maybe you do, I said quietly. But inside, something clicked. I was done being powerless. I contacted Henry again. I have more information. She's seeing him regularly. He's married. That changes things, Henry said. You have leverage. Gather everything. Texts, receipts, recordings. Then, decide if you want to confront them legally or just protect yourself financially. Patience is key. Let them make the mistakes you already know about. I spent the night finalizing my plan. Every piece of evidence, every transaction, every meeting was documented, organized, labeled. I felt no satisfaction, no glee, just numbness. The next morning, I drafted a message carefully. Anonymous. To Victoria. Short. Precise. Enough to shake the foundations without revealing my identity. You might want to check what's happening with Daniel. I typed and sent, hand steady, heart quiet. The dominoes had begun to fall. I knew it. I didn't celebrate. I didn't smile. I simply leaned back in the chair and exhaled. Olivia came home later that day, checking her phone constantly. Her mood shifted slightly. I noticed, but I didn't comment. I didn't ask. I didn't react. You're distant, she said, frowning. What's going on with you? Just thinking, I said softly, voice neutral. About work-life things? She snorted. You always hide behind that calm act. It's pathetic sometimes. I can't tell if you're weak or just lost. I nodded, taking her words like a shield, letting them slide off. Maybe, I said quietly. Maybe I am. Or maybe I'm just careful. She glared but said nothing more, tossing her bag on the couch. I stayed in my chair, phone in hand, staring at nothing, thinking of everything. I realized something crucial. I was no longer the man at her mercy. No longer the husband blind to betrayal. The shift had happened. I had power now, not through anger, not through confrontation, but through patience, observation, and careful action. Everything I need, I whispered to myself, is already in my hands. I just have to wait. Her laughter floated from the kitchen, light and careless. I didn't feel hurt. I didn't feel joy. I felt readiness. The truth, the revenge, the revelation, it was coming. And when it did, I would no longer be the powerless man she once knew. For the first time, I felt calm. And for the first time, I knew I wasn't losing. I leaned back, letting the quiet settle around me. Numb, patient, prepared. I woke to my phone buzzing. A text from an unknown number. Daniel, Victoria knows. Office now. I smiled faintly and set my phone down. Quiet chaos was about to begin. Later, I heard Olivia pacing in the living room. Her voice carried over, frantic and high-pitched. Daniel, pick up, damn it, she shouted into her phone. I didn't move. I stayed in the kitchen, pretending to make coffee, pretending to care. Why isn't he answering? She yelled again, voice cracking. I murmured under my breath, almost amused. Maybe the universe finally caught up. Minutes passed. I heard her mutter, no, it can't be happening. Not now. At home, she suddenly appeared beside me, voice soft, eyes wide. Ethan, can we talk? I turned slowly. Of course, I said calmly. My chest tightened, but only slightly. Inside, I was already elsewhere. She bit her lip nervously. I don't know what's happening. Daniel, he's ignoring me. I called him a dozen times. I see, I said quietly, nodding. I let her words settle in without reaction. She reached for my hand. Do you still love me? I looked down at her, straight in the eyes. Of course, I said softly. A lie, if she only knew, but one she needed to hear. Her shoulders slumped. Relief, fear, confusion, all in one motion. I watched her carefully. Ethan, I feel lost. Everything is collapsing. I said nothing, not a word. My silence was my armor. The next day, the news hit the city. Daniel Whitmore was suspended from work. Victoria confronted him at the office. I didn't hear the details firsthand, but the ripples spread fast. Olivia's phone calls became frantic again. She tried texting, emailing, calling. Nothing worked. He didn't answer. Her panic was palpable, almost intoxicating to watch. You can't just disappear, she yelled into her phone one evening. I won't let you. I stayed in the corner, hands in my lap, eyes calm. She's realizing how fragile her choices are, I whispered to myself. Rumors began circulating at Olivia's workplace. Colleagues whispered behind her back. She started arriving late, avoiding lunch with coworkers, biting her nails absent-mindedly. Confidence slipping through her fingers. One night, she sat on the couch, head in her hands. Her voice trembled. I think someone is trying to ruin us. I remained silent, watching her crumble, watching the weight of her own actions settle on her shoulders. You don't think so? She asked suddenly, looking at me. You don't think someone is after us? I shook my head slowly. No, I said softly. This isn't someone, Olivia. This is what happens when choices come home to roost. Her eyes widened. What do you mean? I leaned back, calm, measured. Karma, Olivia. Slowly, quietly. No one needs to interfere. You'll see it all for yourself. She swallowed hard. Her voice broke. I don't understand. I don't understand why this is happening now. Because the truth always comes out, I said softly. It always does. The house grew quiet except for the soft ticking of the clock. Her sobs echoed lightly through the room. I didn't move. I didn't comfort her. I simply watched. I thought of Daniel. Suspended, humiliated, trapped by the life he lied about. Olivia, panicking, scrambling, realizing she had placed herself on a cliff without knowing it. You're just watching? She whispered, tears in her eyes. I nodded slightly. I'm watching, I said. Calm, detached, ready. She turned away, wrapping her arms around herself. I feel empty. I feel like it's all falling apart. That's what happens when people build on lies, I said quietly. Everything falls, slowly but inevitably. She didn't respond. I didn't expect her to. I didn't want her to. Silence worked better than words. Silence carried the weight of everything she had ignored, everything she had done. That night, I stayed awake, staring at the ceiling. Her cries softened, then stopped. The house was quiet. For the first time, I felt truly untouchable. Not because I was above her, not because I was cruel, but because I had stepped out of the game entirely. I was no longer a player in her chaos. I was the observer, patient and ready. The power had shifted completely. I whispered to myself, almost reverently, now, I am free, and she will learn exactly what she built for herself. Her sobs faded into the night. I didn't comfort her. I didn't interfere. I just watched, and I knew, without a doubt, that nothing would ever be the same again. I came home that evening, my coat heavy with the chill of the city. The papers were already on the table, divorce papers, neatly stacked, waiting for her eyes. She walked in, exhausted, her purse slipping from her shoulder. "Ethan, what is this?" Her voice trembled. I didn't answer immediately. I sat across from her, hands folded, calm. "Look at the table, Olivia." Her eyes scanned the papers, widening with shock. You can't be serious," she said, panic rising. "I am," I said quietly, voice steady. "Take a seat. We need to talk." She hesitated, then sank into the chair opposite me. "Ethan, please explain. Just tell me what's happening." I leaned forward slightly, pulling out my phone. "These," I said, tapping the screen, "will explain more than I ever could in words." I played the recordings I had captured. Her voice, laughing, whispering, promising things to Daniel. Every word she had spoken, every lie she had told. There it was, undeniable. Her face went pale. I could see the color drain from her cheeks. "Oh my God," she whispered, hands shaking. "You see now," I said softly, letting the silence linger. She buried her face in her hands. I made a mistake," she said, voice breaking. "I didn't mean for any of this to happen. Ethan, I still love you." I listened quietly, heart heavy, but composed. "I know," I said. "I know everything." She looked up, tears streaming. "Then why didn't you stop me? Why didn't you fight for us?" I leaned back, letting her question hang in the air. "Because I wanted to see who you really were," I said calmly. Her body shook. She collapsed onto the floor, sobbing, the weight of her own actions pressing down. I didn't realize. Daniel, he promised me success. He made me think. I needed him. I already knew," I said softly, almost gently. "All of it. The promises, the plans, the lies." I watched. I waited. She lifted her head, eyes red and swollen, searching mine. "Ethan, please, can we have another chance?" I felt my chest tighten, a dull ache deep inside. The love I had for her had not gone quietly, but it had ended the moment she chose someone else. I shook my head slowly. "No, Olivia," I said, voice calm. "Not this time. Not after everything." She sobbed harder, voice rising, pleading. "Please, I swear I'll change. I'll leave him. I'll do anything. Just don't let me lose you." I stood, gathering the papers, my movements deliberate. "I already lost you the moment you chose him," I said quietly. "I can't bring back something that died on its own." She crawled toward me, desperate, voice hoarse. "Ethan, please. I made a mistake. I love you. Don't walk away." I held her gaze for a long moment, letting her words hit me fully. And then I turned, slowly, deliberately. "Goodbye, Olivia," I said softly, my voice steady, controlled. Her cries filled the room behind me as I walked away. Every step was calm, measured. Every movement a declaration that I had reclaimed myself. "Ethan, no. Please," she screamed. I didn't look back. I didn't answer. I just continued forward, letting the weight of her actions settle, letting the truth breathe in the silence I left behind. The apartment felt heavy, empty, charged with the echoes of our shared past. I didn't mourn. I didn't regret. I only felt the quiet satisfaction of seeing the truth fully revealed, of witnessing karma take its rightful course. Her sobs became quieter, then muffled, then finally, only the sound of her breath. I didn't falter. I didn't slow. Outside, the air was cold, but it felt cleansing. I stepped into it fully, leaving behind everything that had tied me to her lies. I thought of the love that once existed, of the promises of the quiet evenings, of her laughter, now all gone. Not because I had chosen to end it, but because she had chosen something else. "Goodbye, Olivia," I whispered again, this time to myself, letting the words carry me forward. The apartment door closed behind me, and I didn't look back. Not once. The truth was out. She had seen herself for what she truly was, and I had reclaimed the only thing that mattered. My peace, my dignity, my power. Her cries echoed behind the walls, fading into the distance. I didn't interfere. I didn't comfort. I didn't feel satisfaction, only the quiet, hard certainty that love that dies through betrayal is never truly ours again. And as I stepped into the night, calm, collected, I finally felt free. The papers were signed. Final. Divorce finalized. I placed them carefully in the folder and set it aside. The weight that had been pressing on my chest for months lifted slightly. Olivia's call stopped for a while. Then the news came. She lost her job after the scandal. Daniel disappeared completely. No one seemed to know where he went. I didn't care. Not really. I moved to a new apartment, smaller, quieter mine. I unpacked slowly, letting each box remind me that this life, finally, was just mine. I didn't rush to fill it with furniture or decorations. I just let it breathe. One afternoon, Charlotte called. "Ethan, are you even alive over there?" I laughed softly. "Yeah, alive. Finally, I guess." "I can tell," she said. "You look stronger, calmer, like you're not carrying the weight of the world anymore." "Maybe," I said quietly. "Or maybe I'm just finally standing on my own." She chuckled. "It suits you. Really. You needed this space, quiet distance." Distance helped, I admitted. And seeing the truth. Everything that happened, it forced me to realize who I really am. And who I'm not. We talked for a while. Not about Olivia, not about Daniel, not about the past. Just normal things. Work, family life. It felt easy for the first time in a long time. A week later, my phone rang. The name flashed on the screen, Olivia. I hesitated. My heart didn't race. My hands didn't shake. "Hello," I said, keeping my voice steady. "Ethan, I regret everything," she said, voice soft, almost fragile. Can we talk?" I let pause hang, long enough for her to feel it. "Olivia," I said calmly, "I think it's too late for that." "But, please," she whispered. I just want you to know I'm sorry. I know I hurt you. I understand," I said quietly. "I hear you, but I don't need to talk. I've moved on." Silence filled the line. She swallowed hard. "So this is it?" "Yes," I said, my voice steady, final. "It's closure. Nothing more. Nothing less." She didn't argue. She didn't beg. She just let the silence speak for her. And I let it speak for me. After I hung up, I walked through my new apartment slowly. Every corner, every wall felt like a reminder that I had survived. Not because I was vengeful, not because I had wanted her to fail, but because I had let the truth unfold. Because I had chosen to watch, to understand, to learn. That night, I walked alone through the city. The streets were quiet, the lights soft. The hum of traffic, distant conversations, the occasional bark of a dog. It all felt alive, familiar, comforting. I thought of trust, of love, of pain. I thought of the nights I stayed awake, of the times my heart had shattered quietly in the dark. I thought of the rage, the hurt, the desire for revenge that had once consumed me. And I realized something. Following her, it wasn't about revenge. It was about seeing the truth, about understanding the person I loved and the person she really was. I paused at a corner, letting the cool breeze brush against my face. I whispered to myself, almost like a promise, almost like a prayer. I followed her once, but now I finally follow myself. And I meant it, every word. I didn't feel anger anymore. Not really. Not toward her, not toward Daniel, not toward myself. Just quiet understanding. Acceptance. The weight of betrayal had been replaced with clarity. I walked past couples holding hands, friends laughing, people rushing by, lost in their own lives. I felt separate, yet connected. Alive, yet free. My phone vibrated briefly in my pocket. Another message, another call, maybe another mistake. I ignored it. I didn't need to answer. Not anymore. The night stretched ahead, calm, steady. The city glowed softly under streetlights. I breathed in the cool air, letting it fill my lungs. I realized I had reclaimed something more important than love. I had reclaimed myself. I walked forward, steps deliberate, slow, unafraid. The past behind me, the future uncertain but mine to claim. No more chasing illusions. No more following shadows. Only forward. Only myself. And in that quiet night, as the city breathed around me, I finally fell whole. Free. Complete. I didn't destroy her. She had destroyed herself, and the consequences had found her naturally. I hadn't interfered. I hadn't forced karma. I had simply observed. And now it was over. The end was quiet, satisfying, and mine.